In the humid summer of 1970, Brooklyn simmered under a haze of ambition and cigar smoke. Vincent Moretti, the youngest son of Salvatore Moretti, stood on the balcony of his family's brownstone, staring out at the city that had shaped his family's legacy. At 28, he was a reluctant heir, a Dartmouth-educated lawyer with dreams of a clean life, caught in the web of his father's empire. The Moretti family controlled the docks, the unions, and half the city's gambling dens, but Vincent wanted out, until a bullet changed everything. "Benny, you gonna stand there all night?" Carlo, his older brother, called from the doorway, a glass of whiskey in hand. Broad-shouldered and quick-tempered, Carlo was the heir apparent, the one who thrived in the family's shadow. Vincent was different, a man who valued principles over power. "Just thinking," Vincent replied, flicking ash into the night. "You ever wonder what it'd be like to walk away?" "Walk away? From this?" He gestured to the city below, as if the Moretti name owned every brick. "You're a Moretti, Vinny. Blood don't let you walk away." Vincent didn't reply. He'd spent years trying to believe he could. He'd studied law, dated a girl from Connecticut who didn't know what a soldier was in his world, planned a life where his hands stayed clean. But family had a way of pulling you back, like gravity. Inside, the brownstone buzzed with preparations for Salvatore's 60th birthday. The dining room was a fortress of crystal and mahogany, the table groaning under platters of veal, pasta, and cannoli. The family was there, Salvatore at the head, his gray hair still thick, his eyes sharp. Maria, their mother, orchestrating the feast with quiet grace. Teresa, their sister, radiant in a red dress, engaged to a lawyer named Paul Russo, a civilian who'd somehow won Salvatore's approval. The doorbell rang, sharp and insistent. A hush fell over the room. Tommy, one of Salvatore's trusted soldiers, answered it. Moments later, he returned, his face pale. "Us, it's Frankie Costa." Salvatore's smile vanished. Frankie Costa was the head of a rival family, one that had been circling the Moretti's territory like sharks. "Let him in," Salvatore said, his voice low. Frankie entered, flanked by two men, his suit impeccable, his grin predatory. "Salvatore, happy birthday! I come with respect." He placed a velvet box on the table, a gold watch gleaming under the chandelier, a gift for peace. Vincent watched his father's eyes narrow. Peace was a word men like Costa used when they wanted something. "Speak plain, Frankie," Salvatore said. Costa's grin widened. "The docks. You've had 'em long enough. Shared a wealth, and we avoid trouble." The room tensed. Carlo's hand twitched toward his jacket, where Vincent knew a .38 was holstered. Salvatore raised a hand, silencing the room. "This is my home, Frankie. My family's night. You come here with threats?" "No threats, but just business. Think it over, Sal. I'd hate for things to get messy." After Costa left, the party resumed, but the air had changed. Vincent caught his father's eye, saw the weight there, the calculations. Later, in the study, Salvatore called Vincent and Carlo in. "They're moving on us. Costa's got allies, maybe even inside our own ranks. I need you both. No mistakes." Vincent felt the walls closing in. "Pop, I'm not—" "You're my son," Salvatore cut in, his voice iron. "You think you get to choose what you are?" 2 weeks later, the world shattered. Vincent was at his apartment in Manhattan, drafting a brief for a pro bono case, when his phone rang. It was Teresa, sobbing. "Vinny, it's Pop. They shot him." Vincent's heart stopped. He drove to Brooklyn, the city a blur, and found the family at St. Mary's Hospital. Salvatore was in surgery, a bullet in his chest, another in his shoulder, from a drive-by outside the docks. Carlo was pacing, fists clenched, while Maria prayed silently, her rosary beads clicking. "Who did this?" Vincent asked. "Costa," Carlo spat. "Who else? We've got a rat, Vinny. Someone tipped them off about Pop's schedule." Vincent's mind raced. A traitor in the family? The thought was obscene, but the evidence was clear. Jimmy the Snake Russo, a trusted soldier, had betrayed them. His fingerprints were on the gun, and a witness had seen him at the scene. Vincent's jaw tightened. "You're done, Jimmy. You're out." The capos dragged Jimmy into the warehouse, his face pale, his eyes wide with fear. "Vinny, I swear I didn't do it. I was set up." Vincent's voice was cold. "Save it for the dawn." Vincent stood over Jimmy, his gun drawn, his heart pounding. The warehouse was a tomb of shadows, the air thick with tension. Jimmy's betrayal was a wound that cut deep, but Vincent's resolve was ironclad. "You sold us out," Vincent said, his voice like ice. "You're going to pay." Jimmy's eyes darted around the room, landing on Carlo. "Vinny, I didn't. You gotta believe me." Vincent's hand twitched toward his holster, but Carlo grabbed his arm. "Not here. Not now." They dragged Jimmy outside, the rain slicking their suits. Vincent's voice was a low growl. "You're done, Jimmy. You're out." Vincent took control, his mind racing with plans. The family was his now, and he had to act fast. The Costas were moving in, and the Morettis needed to strike back. Vincent's heart was heavy, but his duty was clear. He called a meeting with the capos, his voice steady despite the weight of leadership. "We hit hard, we hit fast, and we don't miss. The Costas are going down." Vincent's eyes burned with resolve. "I'm in, Pop. I'll do whatever it takes." Vincent stood in the rain, his gun heavy in his hand. Jimmy Russo knelt before him, his eyes pleading. "Vinny, please, I didn't betray the Morettis." Vincent's voice was ice. "You're a dead man, Jimmy." The capos dragged Jimmy outside, their faces grim. Vincent pulled the trigger. The shot echoed through the warehouse, a deafening roar that shook the walls. Jimmy's body hit the ground, blood pooling beneath him. Vincent lowered the gun, his face a mask of cold determination. "It's over." The Moretti family mourned, but Vincent stood tall, his heart heavy with the weight of his actions. The Costas were crippled, their power broken, the docks were secure, and the family's honor was restored. Vincent sat in his father's chair, his hands stained with blood, his eyes haunted. "It's done," he said, his voice hollow. The room was silent, the air thick with the scent of victory and loss. Vincent Moretti was no longer an outsider. He was the Don.